All right, 30 minutes ago, this was posted to ABC7Chicago.com's website. Report of second Wheaton College football hazing victim. 2 of 5 players are now in custody. Says there was reportedly a second victim of hazing at the hands of a group of Wheaton College football players, according to ABC 7 eyewitness news partner, the Daily Herald. The Herald reports the alleged second victim, a freshman at the time, did not reach out to police for an investigation and was not injured, according to a recent roster. He's still on the team. Felony hazing charges were announced Monday evening for 5 players: James Cooksey, Kyle Kriegel, Ben Petway, Noah Spielman, and Samuel Tebos. They are all seniors at Wheaton College. Noah Spielman left the police station after turning himself in around 11:30 p.m. Tuesday. Spielman is the son of former Ohio State and Detroit Lions football player Chris Spielman. The former NFL linebacker's agent, Brian Duncan, told ABC News there was no discussion of criminal charges and that the family is shocked. Noah has willingly surrendered to law enforcement to face these allegations and will continue to cooperate with authorities moving forward. That's from Mark Sutter, Spielman's attorney. Spielman was the second suspect to surrender to police after Kriegel walked into the police station with his parents and attorney earlier that day. Kriegel is expected to be in court October 23rd for his arraignment. The players are accused of dragging a freshman teammate, kicking and screaming, out of his dorm room last March, tying him up with duct tape, and leaving him beaten and half naked with 2 torn shoulders on a baseball field. The student left the school immediately after the incident. What this doesn't describe as well as some of the things that went on while he was inside that car, while he was asking for them to stop beating him up. They duct taped him a little bit more, and then they tried to insert something in an orifice that isn't very pleasant.
Didn't they also claim that they were Muslims? There was some other aspect to this, like they were playing Islamic music, and they added that whole element to it that made it super creepy.
Right. A year later, all 5 players are still listed on the 2017 Wheaton football roster.
A year later.
Until now.
A year.
Three of them played in last Saturday's game. It says, I question at this point whether the school handled this in an appropriate and a serious manner or whether this was something they just wanted to go away, said Terry Eckel, the alleged victim's attorney. Where's the discipline? Suspension from school, kicked out of school, suspended from the football team, kicked off the football team. None of these things happened.
This is God-fearing Wheaton College, too.
I'm getting to it. It's very sad because I don't think that it reflects the entirety of the school or the school's values or the student body as a whole, said Blake Bazin, a graduate student at Wheaton College. As of midday Wednesday, James Cooksey, Ben Petway, and Samuel Tebos were not yet in custody. What is it about, and this we talked about it a little bit yesterday with the Lake Zurich thing that we covered last year. What is it about football hazing?
And the butt.
Dude,
what do you do?
What this homoerotic kind of thing that goes on when it comes to football hazing? And I'm sure that other hazing takes place where people are messing around with people's butts and doing all kinds of weird things that aren't consensual and safe. But my God, for the roughest, toughest, meanest, baddest dudes on your campus to be running around duct taping freshmen, beating them up, and then when they say stop doing that to my butt, you dump them in a field. And I did not know anything about Wheaton College till I got a little bit of a backstory by the Twitter followers that I have, and by my man Herb Lawrence and Nick Shepkowski. The prayer circles before games, by the way, this isn't a war on your religion or war on Christianity. This is a war on weird stuff. This is a war on sexual assault. This is a war on weirdos roaming your campus and allowing to run around in helmets and shoulder pads because they went to Wheaton College, and you can't disrespect the senior leaders on your team. What the hell is going on? When I was hazed as a freshman and sophomore at Evanston Township High School, you know what that hazing was? Running my ass down to Church Street because I was going to do the laps that some of the senior players who had messed up or some of the sophomore players who had messed up, I was going to do their laps for them.
With a broom handle in your butt.
No.
Okay. I just think it's hazing.
Carrying someone's pads.
Football hazing always comes back
to the butt. Carrying someone's pads. What the hell is going on? Why are all these... Why are these weird sexual fantasies being lived out through hazing, quote-unquote hazing? What's going on here?
I wish I could answer.
Huh? This is sexual assault. This ain't hazing. This is hate crime stuff. This isn't hazing.
It's felony violence.
Dude,
and the school kept them there for a year and in good standing as football players.
I let Nicole read this when I picked her and Jace up from the daycare. And by the time we got, close to the house, she said, this is disgusting. Does this go on often? And I looked her in the eye, and I had to, without smiling.
I don't know.
Yeah, without smiling. I think. How many of these are we gonna like? How many people are walking around this city who have had this happen to them?
I played football. It just happens.
But it's football, and you're a guy, and guys aren't ready to come forward about sexual assault or weird things that have happened to them in showers because of football things. And I know the protectors of the game are about to run out on the text line. That's fine. I don't even see you. What is going on? Every time one of these things pops up, it's something super, super weird. It's not about carrying pads anymore or making a guy buy you a lunch, when you go off campus. It's not about, drinking a little bit too much. Even that's dangerous. But what are we really talking about here? And these aren't kids. I know a lot of people, well, what would you do if you were that young? Hey, listen, man, when I went to Southern Illinois University for 1 year when I was 17 years old. I was on that campus to try to learn as much about radio, women, and weed as I could.
That was your major.
Right, I'm going to keep it funky. That's exactly what I went there for. At no point in time did I ever turn over and say, hey, Jaron, or hey, Dante, hey, man, you guys want to come haze me? Because I'm feeling kind of weird about how, what my fantasies might truly be. Like this, don't put this on being 22, 21 years old. These stories happen a lot more than we'd like to think. But because men don't want to come forward about abuse or sexual assault, it's kept under wraps. And these things can continue. This is disgusting, man. This ain't hazing. You're assaulting someone sexually and then beating them up and leaving them in a field. How does that prove to them that you're a good teammate?
If you just did that to somebody you grabbed out of a dormitory that wasn't your teammate, I mean, think about how this would be looked at if it was just some random person you ran across and did that to. You would be behind bars so fast.
Dude.
And that this college, this weird-ass college is thinking, oh, well, it's we've handled it appropriately. And they had to write an essay. They had to write an essay.
8-page essay.
They had to write an essay. Yes. I will not stick things up my teammate's arse.
Right.
I will not stick things
It's like Bart Simpson at the beginning of The Simpsons.
I promise not to put weird things in my teammates' orifices.
How important is sports? How important is
Wheaton
football?
College.
How important is it? And I found out that they had their first school-sanctioned dance in 2003.
Oh, they didn't allow dancing.
What?
Dancing is the thing. It's of the devil. I heard a story also, and people have been emailing and texting and sending all sorts. There's a story apparently that one of, I don't know if it was a swimmer or a sprinter, there was a time, an official time that ended in like .666, and they freaked out and they asked that one of the digits be taken out of it because it was an affront to God.
Really?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that this little thing was happening in Wheaton, but apparently, like, people are coming out of the woodworks on Twitter and on the text line right now. How is this happening to anyone's child?
This is Brian in Schaumburg on the score. Hello, Brian.
What's up, boys?
Hey.
What's happening?
All right, so they undercharged these kids. The first charge here should have been kidnapping, period. The reason that they did that is because there's mandatory sentencing guidelines with that particular felon, well, a lot of felonies, but that one in particular, and they undercharge these kids so that the maximum charges that they can face if found guilty are 3 to 5 years. But the first thing they did was kidnap that kid, and the state's attorney needs to get involved, and they need to recharge these kids appropriately because this is absolutely disgraceful that they did this, and the police were complicit with undercharging these kids. Kidnapping is the very first thing that happened to that kid, period. And the state's attorney needs to go back in there and talk to that police chief and personally get involved and charge these folks appropriately.
Can I ask, Brian, are you a lawyer or involved in law enforcement?
No, I watch CSI all the time.
My guy. There it is, Brian. And he stayed in the Holiday Inn.
I had to ask him because you sounded very authoritative.
He did.
You could have said, yeah, I've been a prosecutor for 26 years, and I would have believed you
Named
immediately.
a firm with 3 names.
Just because you sounded good. Glendale Heights, Billy, welcome to the score.
Hello, gents.
Hello.
I was just calling, carrying the balls and carrying the pads and stuff, that's just kind of your job as a freshman. I went to school up in Carthage, played baseball, and as a freshman, they called it running you. What they do is they hold you down, and outside your clothes, one of them would stick their finger up.
No. That's
I got him.
Above and beyond.
Yeah. I'm sorry that happened to you, Billy.
Yeah, that's because that's sexual assault.
Yes, you should, unless you ask for it. Like you said to somebody.
If it's like consensual?
Hey, we're going to.
Would you do something?
Right,
please?
we're going to.
Sure.
You got to run this flag route, but afterwards, I'll tighten you up. And Billy's like, oh, I've been waiting for you to do that, Ricky. And then, then it's okay. But if you didn't know it was happening and then it happened, that's assault.
I know people wanted
to
jump in on our discussion regarding Wheaton College and just how that school could look at those felonies that were allegedly perpetrated
and say you could play ball.
Let's say not only play ball, but we'll discipline you internally. You have to write an 8-page essay for felonies.
Yeah.
And that is as hardcore Christian a school as exists.
Yeah.
No dancing, no drinking. And by the way,
stomping.
Well, apparently, hearing from a buddy of mine who was a former Wheaton cop, said that there were all of these draconian rules about fraternization, as it were. And
you go into the park and shine a light?
Go to the old local park and get out that mag light, and there's all sorts of things moving around in the bushes in there. Wonder what's going on. Well, you're not allowed to do that. Or not.
Welcome back.
I'm talking about the ugly story at Wheaton College where, was it 5 players total or 6?
Yeah, 5 players total. There has now been a second victim that has come forward.
Who didn't want to press charges initially.
Yeah, this is from the 708. Going back to some of the text messages that were coming through when we were talking about. Thank you guys for talking about this stuff. It's awful. Between this stuff and CTE, I'm never letting my young son play organized football. Hazing is a sacred tradition, but I almost said
right.
Play amongst teammates is perfectly acceptable. It builds trust and dominance. Obviously, tongue in cheek.
I'm clearly kidding.
Yes, these are criminal offenses. There should be a lot of jail time going on. The school is going to be sued. This kid is going to be doing just fine when he's laying across that money to pay for all his son's mental issues. Yeah, man. But listen, someone being assaulted, I don't care how much money you get out of it. That's still a level of trust and a violation that should never occur. Never.
Yeah, Rudy played major college football, and he said, I don't get the hazing thing. When I was in school, I had to sing a dumb song as a freshman, and that was it. My coach banned other stupidity correctly. The only hazing I did was sneaking the freshmen into a bar and getting them wasted on my dime, the same as the seniors did for me. If a group of guys wanted to do something like they did to this guy to me, I'd kill everyone where they stood and then leave.
And that's the thing. Like when you see some of these, this guy fought his teammates, and then guys don't want it to get out. Like, why were you beating up all your teammates? Or why were you fighting your teammate? Oh, this guy's a locker room problem. Well, these guys are messing around doing things. I just don't. The biggest, toughest, meanest, rompingest, stompingest dudes on your campus are engaging in this kind of activity on that campus. Like, maybe you shouldn't suppress all the normal urges that happen between 17 and 23 years old on a campus away from their family members. Maybe you shouldn't do those things. Maybe you should tell them it's okay
to dance,
to kiss someone. It's okay to dance closely. It's okay to listen to that crazy urban jungle music that inspires and works up your loins into a fervor. You don't have to go out into the park and, do the old elephant walk with everybody out there. Like, where has this model worked? Where's this model work that you're like, nothing goes on at that campus?
Did anybody see Footloose?
BYU wasn't there a player on the NCAA, the tournament team?
Yes.
On Jimmer's team, right? It was on Jimmer Fredette's team. It was a brother who was like, listen, man, I've been waxing things since I was on campus. If y'all not going to let me play ball, that's fine. I'm the second best player on this team. He knew what he was getting into when he went there. Yeah, but then
not to mention you get off campus and then you go have 37 wives.
Right.
Up in the hills on a compound somewhere.
So you knew about Wheaton College before this story?
I knew it was.
I did not.
Yes, I knew Wheaton College was creepy and draconian in their rules. I did know that. Yes, I heard about it before, but I didn't know. I hadn't some of the stuff from I love the stuff from the Wheaton cops who were just like,
just shine a light in every corner. Somebody's
every night. Somebody's
firing up the old telestrator.
The czar of the telestrator.
Oh, my
Yes.
God. It's just from the 773. It's the BYU of the Midwest, very religious college. This from the 630. You're not allowed to have girls in their rooms with the doors closed. If you did that to a woman on campus, what would happen? Your feet have to be on the ground as well when you're when you're around women. I don't know if that's a real rule or somebody's messing around, but I wouldn't put.
Feet have to be on. Why don't you just make them wear burqas at this point,
dude? So dancing is the devil, but
Yes.
raping someone with a yeah. This is
Robert in Mount Prospect.
This is bad.
You're on the score.
Hey, guys. Hey, Dan, you brought up when you said, why don't you just wear burqas? You remember a couple of years ago, the teacher that had wore the Muslim garb, and they fired her, gave her all kind of hell for it?
At Wheaton?
That was Wheaton College.
I thought wasn't. I don't think it was Muslim garb. I thought the professor. Correct me if I'm wrong, Robert. I thought the professor. She might have worn a hijab, but I believe she said something about how Christians and Muslims worship the same God.
Right.
And-
But that was it. She said, and she wore a hijab.
And then they fired
It
her.
was on the news for weeks. It was right around election time, and they fired her. That's why I said I don't understand these weird colleges with that type of stuff. The homosexual stuff seems to be a thing that they like to hide, and put it under the rug. But everything else is out in the open. And what's the deal with the homosexual stuff?
Wait a minute, Robert. What's the
This
deal?
just turned into a bad Seinfeld
What's the
routine.
deal with all the homosexual
Well, what's
stuff?
going on? I understand airline food, but what's going on with all that?
If you're Chris Spielman's son or you're any one of these other kids, and if you've got those fantasies, live your truth. Hey, I don't even know how to do the
Now,
voices.
what's the deal with all this stuff with hazing? Why are they putting things places?
If you're
I
like
don't
men,
get it. I don't want anything there.
dude. But if you're one of these 5 players and that interests you, you don't have to beat a guy up. I'm sure there's all kinds of apps. You can go on Grindr. You can go anywhere you want to go and find what you're really looking for.
Guess who's a graduate of Wheaton College? Dennis Hastert.
Oh, well, my guy. Well, like you suppress all those things that you really want, and then you go get them. I guess. I don't know.
Go on now, get
on that.
Quad Cities. Chris, you're on the score.
Hi, guys. I read with great amusement the story about Wheaton College yesterday, and it brought back a whole lot of things for me. I went to Augustana in Rock Island, so CCIW school, same conference as Wheaton. And we used to hear, for the life of me, I don't know why you would send a kid to Wheaton College. And Dan, you used the word draconian. I think that's the perfect way to describe this place. Even in the latter part of the 80s when I was going there was an incident with a couple. And I don't know if you guys, either one of you would remember this, but there was like a nationwide hunt for these 2 kids. They disappeared off the campus of Wheaton College. And just through the years, you hear so many things about it. You think of BYU and the strict moral standards that they have there, and then you look at Wheaton College, and it's like BYU multiplied by 100. And I don't know how you get any kind of decent, normal social college experience out of it. We never could understand it.
I don't know. I can't. I don't know why anybody could emerge from that well adjusted.
You go there to play football. You go through 2-a-days with your teammates. You practice. You study in your playbook. When you're not studying your playbook, you're praying or doing whatever they have to do or forced to do. And then while you're doing that, you get kidnapped, duct taped, thrown in a car, sexually assaulted. When you complain about the sexual assault, you are then beaten and then left in a field while anti-Muslim things are being chanted.
And the guys who did it are forced to write an 8-page essay. That's how the school responds.
And you're forced to be in the same locker room and be around them as well for a year. Like, think about what's really going on here. I mean, we're going to get these jokes off and mess around, and this is what we do. But think about what this 19 to 18-year-old young man had to go through. Because he said hey, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Wheaton College to play football. This is where I want to go. This is what's best for me. Think about that.
And there's the whole in loco parentis argument of entrusting your kid's safety to a school.
You're sending them off.
Especially when, like, it's always like this. Baylor, the Baptist school.
56 rapes later.
Right. 72, right?
It was,
okay. Aren't they up into the 70s now with the number of rapes that happened at that? Another proud religious university. And then, here's another one. Oh, take good care of your kid. Yeah, until this happens. It's okay. We'll make him write essays. Steve in Bolingbrook, you're on the score.
Hi, fellas. How are you?
Hey, Steve.
What's going on? Listen, here's the thing that bothers me as much as anything. Jason, you just mentioned kind of a step-by-step actions that were taken in this incident. You've probably got somewhere around a half a dozen felonies in there. And this happened in 2016.
Right.
And these kids have played a couple of games already this year.
Right. On the sidelines, hanging out.
Listen, I went to college, and I played basketball in college, and, you go to a kegger, and you got to, something stupid, wear a wig or whatever.
Right.
It's a little different.
Right.
But this kind of stuff, these are felonies, guys. These are kidnapping, assault, sexual assault, hate crime, on and on and on. And the fact that these guys were allowed to play football already this year, much less expelled from school, is absolutely mind-boggling.
It's crazy.
Yep, Steve, I
and now there's a second victim who has come forward, and I'm sure there aren't only two. That's the thing, too.
It must be a tradition.
It came up on Twitter yesterday. I retweeted the young lady who was breaking down the Kevin Hart situation, and she was talking about how, and she wasn't saying that Kevin Hart was sexually assaulted, but the fact that he was, high and drunk and was being filmed and all these other things. And then she talked about it, if a woman was in that place, how would we feel about it, and how men who are assaulted, beaten up, or sexually assaulted, don't want to come forward because of the machismo and the things that go into being a man. If this happens to you and you're dropped off in a field and you make it back home and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, man, what the hell just happened to me? And you can't find it in yourself to call your parents or tell the people around you what just happened, and then have to look these dudes in the face for a year. Think about the trauma that sets in after a while. And then you become the bad apple. Then you become why are his grades falling?
Well, he's trouble.
Yeah, why is he having trouble sleeping? Or why is he having trouble with regular relationships with men or women or anything else?
Look what happened at the high school where one of the victims who testified against Jerry Sandusky went in rural Pennsylvania when he was shunned for being a victim. Yeah. Where
monsters create monsters. It's a cycle.
But at that high school, and I'm saying that the people at the high school attacked him for daring to testify against Jerry Sandusky because of what it was doing to Penn State football.
Yeah. And this is happening at Wheaton College. Wheaton College. And like I said, I did not know the history of this school until I talked about it on Twitter last night, and Shep and Herb gave me a little bit of background, their familiarity with the school or whatever the case may be, and playing against them and living in Wheaton. But man, I
hope they got some money put away, because Wheaton College is going to have to cut some big checks. Not for big checks to their lawyers and big checks once the civil suits get filed.
I wonder if the admissions take a hit because of everything that they cover themselves in terms of religiosity.
Probably not, because people just eat that stuff up. You kidding? You're already an easy mark if you're believing that stuff about, we have these pillars of religion and we live by these things. Sure you do. Kevin in St. Charles, you're on the score.
Yeah, not a mouthpiece or a spokesperson for Wheaton College, but I did go there.
Okay.
And is your next segment going to be about how all lacrosse players from Duke are criminals? Because that's the way you're treating this. All right.
We just read the story and then started to talk to people about the situation.
But wait a sec. Kevin, the lacrosse players from Duke were exonerated. Yes. Are you saying that the football players will also be exonerated?
No. The first thing you read is always the right thing, and I get that.
What?
I'm not sure. What do you mean by that?
I read the charges.
Well, I'm saying that you can charge someone with anything.
So Kevin, did you go to Wheaton? Kevin, did you go to Wheaton?
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you think that?
I had a daughter that went to Wheaton.
Okay.
Did you find it? Did you find it creepy there?
Absolutely not. Now, if I
So you think not having a school dance till 2003 is normal?
they did have dances, and when I look at kids grinding on a high school floor, I go, well, maybe there's a reason that they didn't have dancing. You know
What's
what I
the
mean?
reason?
Well, the technical reason, from my understanding,
No,
actually,
what-
alumni did not want jazz music played because when they were growing up in the 30s, there was prohibition. There was the only place you could go dancing was at speakeasies, and it just kept going from there.
Okay, but wait, no. I want to get back to what you said about grinding.
Oh God.
Yeah.
What's
It causes babies, right, Kevin?
Well, yeah, it's real healthy.
how is
It's
it?
real healthy for kids' attitudes too, isn't it? How's that working for you?
Which kids?
Which for me, I'm 36
Yeah.
and I just had my
For high
first
school.
child.
Yeah, my kids' attitudes are fine. I've got a daughter in high school.
I used to go to Y parties in Evanston where there'd be a lot of grinding going on, and I just had my first baby at 36.
Well, congratulations to you, and I hope it's a healthy kid. You know, but
Kevin, how do you
Yeah,
feel?
yeah.
Kevin, how do you feel about the actual charges that you've read or heard about with this football situation?
Well, we don't have time, and you're not going to be interested.
No. I'm asking you.
Are you concerned about felony charges against 5 football players?
If they're true, yes, I am.
If they're true.
If they're true,
Kevin, if this was your son, would you feel the same way?
If this was my son,
Why are you repeating every question that's asked to you?
yeah, you're having a
No,
difficult time in the
I'm
uptake
thinking
here.
about it. I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about if this was your son?
What are you thinking
If
about?
this was your son, you'd have to think about it?
No, if it was my son, and that was true.
Oh, Jesus.
Why do you not think it's true?
Because he went to
I think
Wheaton.
I think that parts of it are probably true.
What parts? The hate speech part?
A kid probably got grabbed with a whole bunch of other kids and left on a park. And maybe he was in his underwear.
Who injured his
Whatever.
shoulders?
Both of them.
I'm not going to go to hearsay.
Who sodomized him?
Once again, hearsay.
Oh, Jesus.
It's not hearsay.
These are the charges.
hearsay.
It's not. These are actual. It is not. Do you know the definition of hearsay is repeating something someone else testified? These are charges. They are charged with sodomizing him. There's evidence of that to allow them to charge these crimes.
There are charges brought up against people all the time that are not true.
So why? But why are you?
And then they go through the criminal process, and they find out, is it true? Is it not true?
All right, we got to go, Kevin.
Kevin,
we appreciate your time.
Kevin,
though. Thank you.
Good luck, man.
And it's not a creepy place.
It is.
I think you have stamped it. I think
Kevin,
you have stamped
Kevin,
it as a creepy place, my man.
You have succeeded in proving it to be that. Thank you for the call.
Wow.